Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 922 for the 2nd of September. So the frontline changes report as usual has been published, and we're going to go into the strategy and tactical reporting. The first thing first was over the past, I think 12 hours, there is a missile strike on Poltava. It is at the training center of the Signal troops. Basically, this you can literally see on Google Maps, the Signal Corps Museum of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and somehow I saw on Ukrainian sources on Twitter they claim that there's a hospital nearby. The problem is when I search hospital, there's no hospital nearby. So I'm not sure what the hell is talking about. But this strike was kind of like went viral somehow because there is some kind of a reaction claiming that official death toll was at 41, 180 was injured. Official numbers are claimed to be higher, and I think Zelensky also mentioned about it, although of course they will say that it's a hospital or something. But yeah, not important. More people die on the front line every day rather than in the rear position. So and now the footages come out is a bit not safe for work, so no, just in case you're looking for it. And we move into the Kherson front. We're going to do Kurs last because it's Kurs. And over at the Kherson front, Russian forces shelled Kherson, Tokarivka, and Berislav. There is fighting reported towards the Dnipropetrovsk direction, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, the Dnipropetrovsk direction. But that's about it over the Kherson front. As usual, very minimal. Over at the Zaporizhia front, we have some fighting reported this time round over at Lubkove as well as towards Novodanilivka. Still, we do not know what the hell is happening around here. Doesn't feel like there's an offensive ongoing. So that's it. We move into the Donetsk front, and this is where the offensive is actually ongoing. Along the Voleda line, the Russian forces are attacking towards the Velika Novosilka sector, and suddenly we have information coming from Ukrainian sources, and then it's also corroborated by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry and the Russian Defense Ministry about fighting at Prashestivka. This looked like a sudden attack by the Russians, and they basically have more or less almost captured Prashestivka. At least half of the village is now fully under Russian control. This came as a huge surprise, and there is fighting now at Pavlivka, Voleda, as well as Vodiane. And the Ukrainian forces are geolocated in Vodiane, getting airstrike, and another one was a guided missile strike by a helicopter just off where the Russian lines are. So there is this offensive suddenly happening right now, and this could be related to the pincer operation that I mentioned before, where the Russians could potentially take Vodiane and go towards Bohoyelevka, and then from Prashestivka they can go towards Novoyukrenka, or they can go through the open ground on the west of Voleda and complete the pincer, allowing the Russians to avoid taking Voleda entirely. They don't have to go onto a frontal attack for Voleda. The pincer would then push the Ukrainians to withdraw from the fortress city because they cannot afford to be encircled. So anyway, this could not necessarily yet, but it could be developing right now. So we will see if the Russians continue to push for Novoyukrenka. If they push for Novoyukrenka, then we will know that there is this high chance that the Russians are going for that pincer. So we shall see how this develop over in the Donetsk front. Over at the Marinka sector, we have Russians attack at Krasnohorivka, Georgievka, Maximilianivka, and Konstantinivka. So that's about it. No much other detailed information about this. We move further up north. Over at this southern flank of the Pokrov front, we have fighting reported at Helisinivka. Over at Memrik, according to the Russian Defense Ministry, weirdly, over at Mikhailivka, Ukrainsk, as well as Selidove. Not much updates regarding the situation around these areas here, so we will just continue to monitor. Suddenly, the pace of the capture have slowed down. It could be because the Ukrainian reinforcement has arrived. Possible. It is possible. So we shall see how this develop, or it could just be a great fog of war and there's no information coming out, and we do not know all this update until later. The Russians also mentioned Zavine, which is weird, Zavinoye, Very but this is way past, like not sure what the hell is happening. Why are they reporting fighting in this region here? That's too far away from the front line. Over in the Horodivka sector, Russian forces are still attacking in the city of Horodivka. Fighting is reported in the region of Zuravka, Krutya, as well as Novo Horodivka. Ukrainian forces was geolocated to be on the counter attack, but the infantry fighting vehicle kind of like get stuck when trying to do a 3-pointer, and then they got rammed by a Russian tank. And that no idea what happened after that. That's the end of that footage, which was bizarre. Reminds me of when we play those all these first-person shooter games like Battlefield, Squad, where we drive the tank and just ram the opponent and fire at point blank. But they did in the video footage they didn't fire at point blank. They just rammed it, and I do not know what the hell is happening in that video footage. But important thing to note is that the Ukrainians actually counterattack in Novo Horodivka. So that is the more important thing to note, which means that which is why I said there's a possibility that the Ukrainian reinforcement has arrived in the region and to help out in the defense of Pokrov. So that is a possibility, but we shall continue to monitor and see whether this can be further corroborated by more evidence and reporting or geolocations. So moving away from the Horodivka sector, over in the northern flank, Russian forces are attacking at Myrolyubivka, Vozdevzenka, and towards Zelene Pole. So that's about it. This is a pinning site. Don't expect much frontline changes around here. This is just to pin Ukrainian forces in place so that they can't really go anywhere else. So that's all for this sector. We move into the New York front. At the New York front, the fighting is primarily over the Thorax region. There is fighting reported at Thorax, at Nelipivka in New York region, according to the Deep State UA. They said that their map have updated. This is yet another one of those updates. Where they claim that they have updated the map. When I went into the map, I can't see the update, and so I'm not sure. Maybe they forgot to press publish or something. And then for the first time, we have fighting reported at Romanivka as well as Skibinivka. So this is according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. They mentioned Skibinivka as well as Romanivka. This is the first time we have seen these settlements being mentioned, and this is unusual. How the hell did Russians fight all the way to Skibinivka? The previous time the Russian Defense Ministry mentioned Leonidivka. However, now the Russian Defense Ministry, Ukrainian Defense Ministry both mentioned Nelipivka. So New York was mentioned only by Deep State UA. So the reality right now, perhaps, is that the Russians have actually continued to expand from New York region, and now they are attacking towards Romanivka. And Nelipivka continued to be held by the Ukrainians, so they could possibly still hold this position around here, whereas the Russians have actually broke through in the south of Thorax, and they are now so I shouldn't use the color, maybe the south of Thorax, and they're now pushing towards Skibinivka. And while the Russians are also pushing in the west or on the east of Thorax. I mean, that is a possibility. And so but we're not sure. But this is just weird that we have fighting reported over at Skibinivka as well as Romanivka. This is just very, very unusual. So anyway, this is interesting. I will definitely keep a lookout for this situation, and hopefully we'll have more information coming out from the sources that could give us some insight into why Romanivka and Skibinivka was actually mentioned. Very, very unusual situation. Like you can see, there's no way this settlement is going to be mentioned unless the Russians have made some progress around here and they're heading towards Skibinivka. And which then we can also explain why there is fighting at Leonidivka, and then that also still corroborates that the Ukrainians are still at Nelipivka, where the Russians are pushing for it. That is a explainable situation. So that could be the case. So anyway, we will continue to monitor. Over at the Bakhmut front, in the southern flank, the Russian forces are attacking at Bilohora, Sklishievka, towards Prashastivka, and towards Tuposhki. The front line and the mentioned settlements are very far away, so it remains to be a very weird situation as well in the Bakhmut front. So we will continue to monitor. In the central flank, we have fighting reported at Chastivya, as well as in Kalinina region. Geolocation of Ukrainian forces getting airstrike was reported south of Chasiv, and over in the Otobersky sector, the Russian forces are geolocated to have expanded their control within this micro district of Chasiv. So it remains to be seen if this is actually a real offensive that the Russians are planning to push out further and start the conquest of Chasiv. Tentatively this cannot be confirmed because the Russians, every time they're geolocated around these places, no, they don't advance further. They just come here and then they leave. So we shall continue to wait and see how this goes. Over at the Sivers front, the Russians continue their offensive. This time round, fighting is reported at Vimka, Ivano-Darivka, Sprerne, Berkomo-Kayamsky, and there is frontline changes update over at Bilohorivka. Vimka, as mentioned previously, was announced to be captured by the Russians, reported by the Russian Defense Ministry on the 1st of September, around 2 days ago. So there is no updates regarding this. The fighting at Vimka was reported by the Ukrainians. So definitely there is this disparity of reality right here. We need to wait. At Bilohorivka, the tactical situation changed with the Russians that are now having the positions in the north of Bilohorivka. However, the settlement here is still very hilly. As you can see from this region, Ukrainians still have the high grounds around here. So this entire region here is extremely hilly. So it is extremely difficult to fight around here. So we will definitely have to continue to wait and see how this develop over at Bilohorivka. Over at the Kremlin front, Russian forces are attacking in the Serbiansky Forestry, Torske, and Novosadove. So this is the usual stuff, nothing particularly special about this. Over at the Svetove front, we have fighting reported towards Sheneskina, Druzilubivka, Krekivka, Makievka, and Nevsky. So as usual, this settlements, this line of settlement getting attacked is very, very unusual for me. It does feel like the Russians have made some progress, which is not reported west of Kamazinivka. So let's continue to wait. We have no choice. We based on limited intel. This is as much as we have. Moving further up north, over in the Preshestivka front, the Russian forces are attacking Klushkivka, Kolinivkivka, towards Lezova, Berestove, and Stemekivka. So this situation remains more or less the same. Tentatively, we have no frontline updates to track what is the situation right here. It is, however, important to take note that there's a bird head around here. We see the beak, and then the eyes is around here. This bird around here is very, very unhappy. He's getting stung by a lot of ants, and he doesn't look very happy at all. He's like very angry, very, very angry. So but then sometimes this bird also very interesting. Like he is very angry. He's very angry. Then you see the bird's beak, but he also showed the thumbs up. You see, he said, good job. So we do not know. I think this is a very peculiar situation. We have to monitor and see what the bird actually thinks. But let's see how this goes. It is what it is. Moving into Kupiansk Run. At Kupiansk Run, Russian forces are attacking the region of Liman Pershi, Sinkivka, and Petropavlivka. Liman Pershi is one of these updates by the Ukrainian mapping Deep State UA. They claim that there is frontline changes at Liman Pershi, but no, I can't find. What's the update? I don't see the update in the mapping, so it's very weird. At least that's based on the mapping when I was doing this a few hours ago. Maybe by now they have updated. I don't know. So if there is, I will update you guys tomorrow. Geolocation of strikes, Russian airstrikes in Petropavlivka was being geolocated, but that's about it in the Kupiansk front. Moving into the Kharkiv front. At the Kharkiv front, we only have fighting being reported at Voschansk, and the Voschansk tactical situation remains more or less the same. There is no change in the formation of the front line. This is still pretty much the same thing. So so very, very unusual situation around here. So let's wait and see. We move further up north. So over in the Kursk front, at the Kursk front, we just before we go into the front line, just talk a bit about the shelling. We have shelling reported at a Velika Pesarivka. So this Velika Pesarivka is where the Ukrainians previously have done the incursion into Graveron. So some shelling reported in this region here might suggest a bit of a gathering of some forces around here. Who knows, the Ukrainians want to try again? Not sure. But this is just one shelling, so that maybe not a lot. Sumy itself got shot in 3 different locations. Sumy itself was shot, and then the micro district of Luka or Embassy was also struck, according to information from the Russian Defense Ministry. And then we have shelling reported further up north, over in Kotin, Yablukivka, Yunakivka, Yastrubine, Katerinivka, Bilopilia. So a lot of reserve positions got hit by the Russians. And then also further shelling continue over in the Khrushchev sector, with shelling reported at Olivka, Svetsa, Esman, and Khrushchevka. So this continues to put pressure on the Ukrainian forces that potentially may want to do an offensive into the Bryansk Kursk tri-border with Sumy. So then we move into the front lines. There's a two Buk M1 air defense system was destroyed just off Kochakivka, very close to the border. And I believe there's one more. Yeah, this one over near Klibine or south of Osoivka. This is allegedly three HIMARS vehicles got destroyed. This is reported by Ryba, as well as geolocated by military summary about this struck on Ukrainian HIMARS system. And this continues to confirm the possibility that the Ukrainians have no more long-range missiles to use, or they are forced into using shorter-range missiles or rockets on their HIMARS system to use them more closer to how the Russians use their GRADs or multiple launch rocket systems. So if let's say they have a 50-60 kilometers range, this helps them to cover most of the front lines. So this is possible. Or even 80 kilometers, that would clearly allows them to cover everything. So this is a possibility why they are being forced into being used so near. In the shorter range, let's say 50 kilometers, this will still allows them to cover most of the eastern half of the Kursk front. So this is a possibility why they are being deployed so far up front. And however, being so upfront means that they are more easily spotted by Russian drones. Over in the southern flank, Ukrainian forces are attacking Burki. Geolocation of Ukrainian forces was hit by FPV drones, but you can see the intensity of the fighting here getting weaker and weaker. Over in the eastern flank, on the eastern flank, we have fighting reported. Let me zoom out a bit. There's fighting reported at Nestyaev. Russians are counter-attacking at Ruskoye Parashnoye. Ukrainians attack at Cherkaskoye Parashnoye. Russians attack Martinovka, Mikhailivka. Ukrainians are not mentioned to be attacking Martinovka, but they have incursions being geolocated, showing that they are pushing inwards through the countryside towards the south of Biryukovka. And shelling was reported in the region of Zaleshenka. Accordingly, it was a radar that was hit. There's also shelling reported at Yuzhny, Lebedevka, and there is also airstrikes reported south of. Actually, this is the wrong color. It should be blue. So in the region of Cherkaskoye Parashnoye. So the current strategic situation around here looks like this. Linking up to the northern flank, also the Ukrainians and Russians are still clashing over at Malaya Lognia, whereas the Ukrainians have captured Kulenkoye according to the Russian mapping. So this is the situation right here. Should I draw the border? So maybe I draw the border maybe a bit clearer. So it looks a bit like this. So tentatively, yeah, I think I just made it worse. I just made it worse. So anyway, this is the situation over in the eastern flank. So over the northern flank, at the northern flank, so northern flank, maybe Nechayev appears again. Nechayev, Ruskoye Parashnoye, and then the clashes over Malaya Lognia. Ukrainians capturing Kulenkoye, as I mentioned in the frontline changes report, because the Russian side have disclaimed this area here. confirming Russians have withdrawn from this area here, as they cannot deal with the pressure over Krenkoe. Ukrainians are attacking Pogrebki. No more updates regarding the northern part, the northern part. Ukrainians are still attacking Kremyanoe, Ogovka, as well as Korenevo. So the Russian lines continue to hold around this Korenevo Kremyanoe line, whereas this Malaya Lognia situation continues to be a mystery, because how is they fighting around here remains to be seen. So the Russians are still holding the Pogrebki line all the way to Malaya Lognia. So we shall see how this develop with in this northern flank. In the western, there's shelling reported at Lyubimovka, just in case you didn't see. So over on the western flank, at the western flank, there is fighting reported. The Ukrainians are attacking Komarovka. Everything else in this western flank is the Russians putting pressure on Snagorsk, Venevka, Tenwai, Oktyabrske, Panosovka, and Gordievka. Most of these are probably just shelling, not exactly, these are not exactly assaults, but this could be just fire attacks. Whereas the Ukrainians are the one that is still conducting their offensive operation over at Komarovka. So, but that's about it over in this western flank, shelling at Lyubimovka as mentioned previously. So, that's about it. The Russians continue to do pontoon crossings as they continue to flood troops into this Glushkovo sector, and it looks like the Russians have been pretty successful in the crossing despite the targeting on the pontoon crossings. So the Russians seems to have enough troops in this region here to discourage a Ukrainian incursion at this moment for now. So we will continue to monitor to see how this develop. The Ukrainians continue to foppling down into this Kursk update, and maybe we'll see 5-pling down in the near future, or 6-pling down in the near future, or the midterm future. So anyway, this is the situation report, or the summary for the day of 922 for the 2nd of September. Do press the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next update.